I have a riddle I've been working on. You're in a room with two other people. One, a liar, and the other one is mentally unstable. In order to get out of the room, you must ask, believe, and follow only one of them. Whom do you choose? Personally, I would choose the unstable one, because they want to believe and know what is real and what isn't. The liar would consciously try to deceive you. The unstable would help you to the best of their abilities, even though you can't really trust either to the same degree. Okay, so maybe it's not the best riddle, and maybe it's not even a riddle, but it is a good enough introduction to the movie I saw in a practically empty theater. Not because Fear of Rain is a bad movie, but it was a Monday night and everyone is still worried about COVID. Normally I'd want a good movie to get all the success possible, but I'm incredibly comfortable watching a movie in an empty theater, just like at home.
This is nice. This is better.
Alright, I'm gonna break down this movie and spoil the shit out of it. If you don't want it spoiled, go see the movie yourself. So the movie starts off pretty strong, and our main girl is getting chased, and when she is caught, she is being buried alive, and my jaw is just on the floor. But unfortunately, she digs her way out, only to have the guy who buried her be waiting. Pretty smart, considering the grave seemed a little too shallow. But the movie cuts to her being in the hospital, losing her shit. So yeah, she imagined the whole thing. This intro is hitting pretty hard, and I'm really digging it so far. So she goes through a mental checklist whenever she is having an episode to figure out what is real and what isn't. They take her home when she is calmed down. Later in her psychiatrist's office, she says she hates taking her meds because they make her into a zombie. Just not like the fun kind. It also keeps her from painting, which is like her only vice in life. She goes back to school and she's just lost all of her friends. There is an entire table making jabs at her, and one of them blurts out a, careful or she'll go all carry on us. She killed a good amount of kids in her school, right? I mean, I know this girl in this movie doesn't have psychic powers, but she could still snap and kill you like a normal person, and you can bet your bottom dollar that you just made the top of her list, you dumb bitch. So our girl sits by herself for lunch until the boy she couldn't stop staring at in class sits next to her, and he does a magic trick with some tarot cards. She responds surprisingly well, even though that interaction would more than likely go a little like this.
Hey, Tyler, you on your way to algebra?
Yeah, I'll see you there.
So back at home, life seems to be getting better until the night comes. And our girl sees a little girl in the attic next door being pulled away by her neighbor, who is also her teacher. She wakes up her parents to demand they go over there. So the dad caves and they go over and check it out. She's got an attic filled with some dolls and mannequins. I mean, who doesn't nowadays?
Frank, it's awful. I can't believe it. I swear it's a nightmare.
You shouldn't be alone now. Is your boyfriend with you?
But no kid, so they leave. But you can see something smudged into the attic window, but I'll get to that later. So at school the next day, she convinces our adorable love interest to break into the house and check it out. And she's an attractive girl, so he does it without question.
As one does.
But they can't find anything before the teacher gets back, so they bolt. At home, she talks to her mom about the boy, but the mom questions whether or not the boy is real, which made me question who else may not be real. But we'll return to my genius deduction abilities later on. At school the next day, our lovebirds search the web for missing girls, and they stumble upon the girl in the attic, so maybe she is real. In between classes, our main girl comes across her ex-best friend in an emotional state, and she tries to console her, and she's still a bitch. You know, the carry option is still on the table. So the boy finds out about our main girl's condition, and she explains that she's a schizo. But instead of thinking she's multiple people, she hears and sees things that might not be real. She even says in that same conversation, normally people who suffer from schizophrenia just hear things, but she also sees things. She goes home, and the dad surprises her with a redone room because she trashed it at the beginning of the movie during her manic episode. And she's like, thanks, but I'll sleep in the other room. And the dad is like,
well, stay here and rot, you stuck-up bitch.
okay, he didn't really say that, but he should have. Later that night, the boy sneaks into her room like a boss and asks why she's been ignoring him. Maybe not the best way to confront a person, but she says she doesn't believe he's real. And he asks, wait, why do you think I'm not real? She's like, well, you're perfect. Well, I mean, you're not really perfect. And he's like, oh, wow, I'm perfect? You think I'm so perfect? And during this thrilling conversation, they hear a scream from next door, so they go and check it out. They try to go through the basement window, and our guy just taps it, and it shatters. They bolt, the neighbor calls the cops, and now everyone is talking about sending our main girl to the mental hospital. She goes to school the next day, and her crush isn't there, so she freaks out because she thinks she made him up. So she runs home, but makes enough time to hallucinate a lot of crazy shit on the way, even the girl next door.
I'm all wet. Can I come in?
No, not that one. Her dad's home, and not only is she having a shit day, her dad is like, well, you're already crying. Let's milk it for all it's worth. Your mom's been dead for 3 years. Okay, all jokes aside, this young actress does freaking out and losing her mind very well. So the nighttime comes, and our girl is glaring down the house, and she's like, round 2, bitch. So she goes through the broken window and makes it into the attic and has an episode. But when she comes to, she sees a broken crayon on the floor, and everyone watching is like, the teacher finally comes home, and our girl is sneaking around like Solid Snake level. Our girl gets the keys to a locked door that goes down to a separate basement level than the one that she snuck in through. She goes down the stairs, falls down, has an episode. Good thing that teacher's deaf, or else our girl would be in a lot of trouble. Wait, she's not deaf? Then why isn't she running after our girl then? She eventually does, but not because of the noise, but because she notices that her keys were missing. Our girl finds the missing little girl locked in some kind of crawl space. Teacher tries to convince her that the little girl isn't real and that she will forget all this ever happened. But here's the thing. Our main girl might not know what's real and what isn't, but she's not stupid. So she's like, why would you do that? She knows that her neighbor has threatened to call the cops to take her away before. So yeah, they fight. Our love interest swoops in and they tag team the teacher even though she's like 7 feet tall and looks like she's like 60 pounds soaking wet. Our girl runs out with the kid and the dad meets them at the door to help out. As they're walking home, our girl tries to keep going back for our boy, but dad is like, no, he's not real, he's fake. And color him surprised when he sees the kid limp out of the house and he's like, I guess my kid does have a real boyfriend. I thought I had a Meg situation for a second.
I'm back. I brought another picnic. You're such a good listener. You're not like the other boys. You're so good with animals.
The next day comes and our girl seems to accept that her mom is gone. She still has her condition, but it is much more manageable, and the movie ends on a high note. So, what is the conclusion here? Well, it's a pretty good PG-13 thriller. Good horrors and thrillers are already hard to come by, and a good PG-13 one is even harder. That being said, it's not impossible. I was and am still a big fan of the American remake of The Ring. Yes, I saw the original Japanese version last year, and it is boring, slow, and it is not aged well. I'll probably be doing a nostalgia review on that later. But for the most part, Fear of Rain is well acted, especially by the main actress. I'd say the weak link in the acting is the love interest. Maybe it's not the acting and it's the script because their relationship is almost too perfect, especially since they have a rocky start. I also predicted the little girl was real because when they go to the attic for the first time, you can clearly see the word help written in backwards on the window as our main characters are about to leave. Also, I predicted the mom being not real the second the mom suggested that her boy wasn't real. They also zoom in a lot on the mom's ring, which I think our girl is wearing most of the movie, which eventually becomes more and more obvious that it's a clue for something bigger. But because the mom wasn't actually there, it makes this one scene pretty bullshit. There's this one scene where the mom and the dad are in bed, and the mom's like, "This is all my fault." The dad doesn't respond, and he just turns his head and goes to sleep. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure our main girl is in her own room for that scene. So, who is that scene for? Us? The audience? Is the main character just imagining conversations that her and her parents are having in bed? I tried to not think of what goes on in my parents' bedroom for obvious reasons. Thanks for watching. Stay spooky.